Hello and thank you for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. I'm Jurnee Taylor and here's a look at our top stories. First, the number of migrants crossing into the U.S. is vastly straining resources at the southern border and beyond. We take a look at how cities are struggling to care for them. Plus, after losing most of its food in a break-in that happened on Christmas, a Little Rock nonprofit has been working to get back to feeding the community. And a kid-friendly staple will soon get a new renovation after being destroyed by an EF3 tornado in March. Later, a look at the new plan for Funland. We'll have all those headlines soon, but first, a look at weather. We have meteorologist Nathan Scott in the building. Nathan, it is Friday Junior. I'm happy about it.
Friday Junior. Love it, Jurnee. It is cold out there on this Friday Junior, though. We've got the clouds that have moved back in. Start off the day with some sunshine, but those clouds are really taking over the skies, and that's keeping the numbers down. 46 right now in the capital city, 36, though, in Mena, 41 in Clinton. These clouds are not producing any precipitation at this time, but I am watching snow showers into southwest Missouri. They will move their way into northwest Arkansas as we go into the afternoon hours. So here's what future radar could look like, and you can see that progression as a little spoke of energy rotating around the upper level low will produce the potential of some light showers here in central Arkansas. But for the higher terrain, the Ouachita's and also the Ozarks, that rain could mix over to maybe a quick flurry or a snow shower. Out there, here's what you want to prepare for. It feels like 35 in Russellville, feels like 30 in Mena just because of those gusty winds. I think there's going to be a better opportunity and more coverage of snow showers for northeast Arkansas late tonight and for the start of your Friday. I'll have a look at that coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Well, new at noon, the mother of Amir Ellis, the Hot Springs man who disappeared 8 months ago, confirming to us that his body has been found. Last week, possible human remains were found near Highway 7, north in Garland County. Today, Jessica Ellis told THV11 that investigators shared an update with her, confirming that the remains belong to her son. Now, we're still working to learn more details from police, but we will keep you updated here on air and online. Also new at noon, an investigation is underway as police find a man dead in a car in Pine Bluff. Just after midnight, officers responded to a call describing a car with the windows shot out near East 21st Street. Officers arrived and discovered a man inside, later identified as 31-year-old Zevon Irby, who had been shot several times. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and there's been no arrest in Pine Bluff's latest murder. However, investigators are asking for any tips that might lead to an arrest. And another developing story, the legal power struggle over who gets to run state prisons continues. But today's court hearing, where a judge was scheduled to hear oral arguments in a lawsuit filed by the State Board of Corrections against Governor Sanders' administration, has been postponed until next Thursday. In one of two ongoing lawsuits, the board claims the new Protect Arkansas Act is partially unconstitutional. Attorney General Tim Griffin, who typically represents state interests, is in a legal gray area. He's representing the governor, but working against a state board. The prison board even hired an outside legal team that met last night to prepare witnesses for today's hearing. Here's part of their argument.
When the legislature enacts a law that violates Amendment 33, you're allowed to do something about that. The Attorney General doesn't want you to do that.
Attorney General Griffin is also suing the prison board, claiming the hiring of outside counsel is illegal. The judge put that case on hold until next month. THV11 will have a team at next week's hearing with updates on air and online at THV11.com. Mexican immigration officials began clearing tents on the banks of the Rio Grande River as U.S. officials met with Mexico's president about the border crisis. Crossings have reached record levels. As Michael George explains, U.S. cities are struggling to manage the influx of people needing shelter and food.
As thousands of migrants trek northward, U.S. officials say they're working with Mexico to limit the number of people trying to cross the border. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas met with counterparts Wednesday in Mexico City. Afterwards, a U.S. official said progress is being made. The meetings come after more than 500,000 migrants crossed the dangerous Darien Gap jungle into Central America this year, double from last year, most fleeing crime, poverty, and conflict.
Pero queremos ayuda.
We want help, says this mother from Venezuela, and an education for our children. The U.S. Border Patrol says this month alone, officers on the southern border apprehended as many as 10,000 people a day. Border cities are bearing the brunt of the crisis, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been busing thousands to Democrat-led cities. Officials say more than 150,000 migrants have arrived in New York City this year. The city is housing and feeding about 70,000 at tent cities and hotels like this one in Midtown Manhattan.
The federal government must take responsibility and lead on this humanitarian crisis.
Wednesday, the mayors of New York, Chicago, and Denver met to discuss how to manage the crisis. New York City's mayor is now requiring bus companies give 32-hour notice before coming to the city and imposing limits on where and when migrants can be dropped off. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
And turning overseas, dozens more people in Gaza were killed in airstrikes overnight. The war is taking an especially steep toll on families, and Israel says it has no plans to stop the bombings until Hamas is destroyed. Displaced Palestinians sheltering in a camp fled as Israel moves its airstrikes to central Gaza. The United Nations estimates 1.9 million Gazans have been displaced since the war started in October. Israel's military warns the conflict will last many more months. Sean Casey with the World Health Organization is touring Gaza's decimated medical facilities.
There's no way to keep up with the scale of injuries and trauma and suffering that's coming through these doors.
Israel accuses Hamas of using civilians as human shields as the military expands its offensive into central Gaza, targeting Hamas's leadership. And a THV 11 update, the city of North Little Rock approves spending $3 million to rebuild the Funland in Burns Park. Mayor Terry Hardwick has big plans for the amusement park, which was opened just one day before being destroyed by the F3 tornado last March. But while it won't be getting all of the rides back, the iconic train and the rocket slide will return, along with a new splash pad. Plus, new playground equipment will be all-inclusive for kids of all abilities.
Make it, I would say, today's type park, being all-inclusive with a splash pad. You know, we've been talking about a splash pad forever, but now we're going to have one. So it's a process, but it's a good process.
Hardwick expects the park to be open by July 4th, and about half of the $3 million price tag will be covered by FEMA and insurance funds. The city will pay the rest. A Little Rock nonprofit with a mission to help others now finds itself in need of some help. The Christmas break-in at Harmony Health Clinic is actually the second one to happen there in about a month. THV 11's Brooke Buckner shows us how this affects not only the organization, but also those who relies on its services.
This is just disappointing because we do serve a lot of the population, just the community in Central Arkansas.
But now that's a little harder to do since someone broke in overnight on Christmas and stole almost everything out of Harmony Health Clinic's deep freezer.
This was completely full with salmon, there was frozen vegetables, some just ground beef, chicken, things like that. It was completely full.
Now they're left with just a handful of items to feed those in need.
We just got a big grant. That's what we used to stock up our freezer, and we finished it. You know, we had just filled it all up, and then now we don't have any.
Sadly, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. About a month ago, clinic manager and patient navigator Connie Sines says they had another break-in.
They broke the glass with a rock and again hit the rock for the second door. Now what we've done is put bars and, have security services.
Besides doing some damage to the building, she says the thieves took food and other necessary equipment.
They took 3 laptops. They took our TV that we had.
Now she says they're working to make the building more secure and looking into new grants to supply more food.
A lot of the patients that come for our medical clinic are either diabetic, high blood pressure, and cholesterol, so we try to give them ways to eat healthier. And this was one thing that was serving the community very well.
Despite these challenges, Sines says they're going to find a way to move forward.
They need us to be here.
In Little Rock, Brooke Buckner, THV 11 News.
And Little Rock police are investigating both break-ins and tell us that they're still searching for suspects. If you'd like to donate food or other items, we have more information on our website, thv11.com. A new report shows one age group is more than likely to lose money in a scam. Coming up, a look into which group and what scam is the riskiest.
And a gloomy view from our View 11. We've got that canopy of clouds that has taken over this afternoon. Those clouds will be stubborn to move out. Some clouds could produce maybe a light rain shower or a snow shower in parts of the state. I'll have a look at future radar and let you know what to expect for your Friday into the weekend. Coming up.